What's the difference between uniform velocity and mean velocity? Uniform velocity refers to when an object moves at the same velocity. That means velocity we refer as the rate of change of displacement. So the rate of change of displacement is uniform. The rate of change of displacement is the same, uniformly it happens. Then it is called uniformly moving. So same velocity object moves with time, 10 ms minus 1. So every second, 10 meters it's moving. Then in that case, velocity is said to be uniform or constant. But the next one, it's opposite from it. Mean velocity or average velocity refers to not the same velocity. Either we increase the velocity or decrease the velocity, decreasing we travel. So usually that is how we move because we can't maintain the same velocity unless we have been programmed, right? So we change our velocity. Increasing velocity refers to acceleration, decreasing velocity refers to deceleration. So acceleration, deceleration both falls under mean velocity or average velocity. So if the velocity is changing, then the object is moving at average or mean velocity. So this is the difference between uniform velocity and average velocity. Why do we need to know the difference between? That comes up with finding out the displacement. Velocity equals displacement over time. We look at the equation. So velocity is equal to displacement over time. This is the first formula you learn. So if you want to find out the displacement, straightly what do? You take t here, v into t you have. But how to apply this? Depending on the type of velocity. If it is uniform velocity moving at the same velocity, straight away you can multiply. V into t you can multiply. But let's say if there are two velocities, how to find out? Both the velocities are going to multiply. There is a method. Okay, we have to find out the mean velocity or the average velocity. From that average velocity, we have to multiply. So you see, we'll summarize. Let's say if an object is moving at uniform velocity. The object is moving at uniform velocity, same velocity. So in that case, how do you find out the displacement? Displacement equal straightly velocity into time. Straight away you have to find out v into t. So displacement equal to velocity into time, we can find out. So let's say if the object is moving at mean velocity, that means either it may be acceleration or deceleration. Acceleration or deceleration. So in that case, I can't find out the displacement applying only one velocity. I have to apply two velocities. But how do I apply? Starting velocity plus final velocity, I'm dividing by 2 to get the average. So here the uniform velocity, here we have to apply the mean velocity. So starting plus final dividing by 2, I have to multiply by the time taken. So this is how I find out the displacement when an object is moving at mean velocity. It may be either acceleration or deceleration. So two different equations depending on the velocity. Let's take two examples. Let's say an object is moving at a velocity of 50 meters per second and the times given as 20 seconds. So the object moves at the same velocity. And the second case, an object is at rest. So the starting velocity is 0. And it acquires a velocity of 50. So the same values I'm taking, 50. And the time taken is also 20 seconds. So you see, the question changes only by the starting velocity 0. So let's check it out. How do we find out if the object is moving at the same velocity? Displacement equal velocity into time. This is the formula. So velocity is 50. Time is given as 20. 50 into 20, it's 1000 meters. So 1000 meters, 1 kilometers. And you have to make sure velocity is given in ms minus 1. And velocity usually could be given in ms minus 1. But the time you have to measure it as in seconds. It should not be in hours or minutes. You have to convert them. How do you find out the second part? Displacement equal. Two velocities are there. If there are two velocities, it's very clear. When two velocities given in the question, you can't apply one velocity to find it out. You have to go for two velocities. So u plus v dividing by 2. And then you have to multiply by the time taken. What's u here? Starting velocity is 0. You can see what happens if you don't apply the correct equation. Starting 0, ending 50. Dividing by 2, multiplying by the time taken, it's 20 seconds. 50 over 2, 25. 25 into 20. How much is it now? Is it 1000? It's 500. So you see, one word changes, the answer is totally different. Answer is totally different here. So you can possibly see here, if you don't apply the correct formula, you might be mistaken. So remember, if the object is moving at uniform velocity, straight away, velocity into time, you can find out the displacement. If the object is moving at mean velocity, two different velocities, both the velocities you add, divide by 2. Dividing by 2, you have to multiply by the time taken, then you can find out the exact displacement. So probably, let's say if the object moves at two velocities, like starting from rest, ending at 50, the same case. Or else starting at 50, ending at rest. One is 0, the other one is the same value, means exactly half of that comes. Here it's 50, here it's 50, and one is 50, the other one is 0, means exactly half of this 1000 meters, 500 meters. That usually happens in projects. So I hope that it's very clear for you of how to find out the displacement when the object is moving at uniform velocity and uniform acceleration or deceleration. That means the mean velocity.